Hi Aquarius, and thank you for joining me and welcome to this reading for February 2016. I'm glad you waited for me with this reading. I was a little bit sick. I still have a little bit of a frog in my throat, but I'm doing all right. And I hope you're well as well. So I have your cards laid out for you today. If we get this video to 400 likes by probably in the next couple weeks, I'll be able to give you guys a full mid-month reading touch-up on love. So make sure to like this video so that we can do a second reading mid-month. Now, if you want more information on the cards that I'm using, go to the end of the video. I'll describe them there. Also, I'm doing a giveaway. The giveaway will be drawn on Valentine's Day, and it's a very special announcement at the end of the video. So first, let's take a look at the astrology for your sign, and let's go through some of the major aspects that are happening over the next month, okay? So the first set of transits are here on the 3rd of February. On the 3rd of February, we see Venus moving into your 3rd house of communication in Aries. She'll be joining Mars there. This is a wonderful time to communicate with people around you about the things that you wish to see happen in your world and manifest. Also on the 3rd, we have Juno, who's an asteroid. That is an asteroid moving into your 12th house of spiritual belief systems. Juno is the ideal partner. So in the 12th house, very kind of religious perspectives can influence you during this transit, influencing you and illuminating you what kind of ideal partner would be best for you, who you should be looking out for. On the 4th of February, we see Ceres, the goddess of cereal, moving into your, there's the 4th. Ceres is moving into your 4th house. Ceres in the 4th house is one of the best transits to have. The 4th house is the house of home and family, and Ceres is the nurturer. So you should expect to see a month and a little bit of some time with really abundant family dynamics and relationships. On February 6th, Jupiter goes retrograde for about 6 months or 4 months between February 6th and June 9th. The retrograde period is happening in your 9th house of philosophy, higher education, and long distance travel. If you've been feeling a really good dose of push of success with regard to school and your education, or long distance travel with lots of trips coming up, that can slow down during this time. It's a really wonderful time to rehash things. So if you are doing upgrading of any kind, rethinking your ideas and philosophies, this is the time to do it. Mercury will be in Aquarius as of the 7th of February. So this is in your 1st house. Wonderful time to make your ideas and perspectives known. On February 2nd, we're going to film a special eclipse and full moon edition on Veroosh 6:30 p.m. Reading. That's Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be reading for the full moon and eclipse on the 10th of February, which is actually happening in your 7th house, Aquarius. 7th house has to do with partnerships and relationships. As you can see, there's a lot of kite formations that are being formed off the asteroids, and so this will be a very powerful eclipse and full moon. Make sure to watch the video on that, and then also during the full moon on the 10th, you will feel a lot of opportunity to culminate in your partnerships, or eclipse them out even if you feel the need to. The sun moves into Capricorn on the 18th of into Pisces on the 18th of February. This is in your 2nd house, a month-long transit of financial prosperity. And then on the 25th, Mercury joins the sun in the Pisces house. Now, the Pisces house has another sequence of a stellium. This is the 2nd stellium that we've seen this year in your 2nd house. Abundance, growth, prosperity, especially rehashing things of the past because the North Node is here as well. The final transit that we want to mention is the new moon eclipse that happens in Pisces in your second house. This is a wonderful time to start new patterns, new financial beginnings, and set off on a new course. Also, I want you to take a look to the side and you will see that there is a couple readings that we've added this month. The sex and relationship readings have been very popular, or love and sexuality reading. They're going to be on February 9th and the 23rd, so opposite of the new moon and full moon eclipse readings at 6:30 p.m. on Thursdays. Okay, so let's get down to these cards. They've been really successful so far. I hope you enjoy the reading as well. The first card is an oracle card. It's the only oracle card that I'll use. So your first message is celebration. Go home and have fun. And by the way, I want to wish all of you who are celebrating your birthdays a very happy birthday. I hope you're having a wonderful time, and I hope that you are surrounded by love, family, and fun. And it looks like this is a wonderful time for you to celebrate. Now, in the second house, when we have lots of energies, particularly with Venus in the second house, well, just the first couple days of the month, but sets the pace. You want to make sure that you're not overextending yourself financially in any way, that you're not buying too many things, that you're keeping things paced and healthy and healthful. But this is a wonderful time for you to celebrate. Most of you are having your birthdays. You're enjoying yourself and your time. I also made these witch dice here, which I've been throwing around, and they're pretty popular. People really like them. So let's take a look at what the witch dice say. So we have love, a little sideways. I am trying to keep them oriented in the right way because we have possessions in reverse. So this is another warning that you want to make sure that your possessions are you're being mindful of your possessions. Okay, so the second set of cards, now we're going to take a look at the tarot cards for the month. Here is your first card. We see the Three of Cups. No, celebration and Three of Cups go hand in hand. This is saying that this is a wonderful time for you to connect with others, to make connections, to feel wonderful, to join, to share information, to share in the experiences that you have had, to overcome circumstances and to grow and to prosper and to develop yourself. It looks like it's really important for you to take some time off this month in order to enjoy yourself, in order to enjoy the things that you have accrued. Now, with Venus and Mars in the third house is brothers and sisters. So I wouldn't be surprised if brothers and sisters are not a huge part of that celebration, balancing out your energy, especially if you are a man and you have a sister, or if you're a woman with a brother, then this is a wonderful time, Aquarius, to make those bonds. In fact, connecting with your brothers and sisters at this time, you may find that you are finding ingenious solutions to life. You might be inspired in unique directions. This is under the guidance of Uranus, also in your third house. Here is your next card. So we're looking at the Eight of Swords. This is describing a situation that may feel as though it's an impasse, but because the first two cards are quite positive, uplifting, and robust, I would suggest that maybe the Eight of Swords is saying that you don't know how to resolve a situation fully yet, but you're not too bothered by it. In fact, I think that you're choosing to celebrate and have fun, smell the roses as they speak, while your circumstances adjust themselves. I do get the sense that many of you Aquarians feel like you're in a hamster wheel with people that you are interacting with, particularly in a relationship. You may feel an impasse in the situation or circumstance, and if that is the case, then you may feel as though this is not the right time to act, and this is the time to gain the energy, learn the circumstances, and move forward in a particular direction before moving forward in a particular direction. The eclipses will be signposts for you to make certain changes. So we have an eclipse in your 7th house on the 10th and in your 2nd house on the 26th. So what we're looking at is your partnership house and the money house. So those are very, very active houses, which do suggest that there is a necessity for you to be mindful of the energy around you, because there's a lot of force behind it. Whenever we have a new moon or a full moon with an eclipse, there's a lot of force and energy behind the energy that you are accruing, the energy that you are using. The 8 of Swords suggests a struggle, maybe a struggle within your mind, but a struggle that you can overcome and circumnavigate. Here is your next card. So here we have the Prince of Cups. A Prince of Cups for me always signifies an offer. He could be a Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. He could be making some kind of offer to you. This is someone who's quite the bachelor, someone really fun to spend time with. It seems as though, Aquarius, that you're caught in a bit of a circular, repetitive trap with this person. That on the one hand, you enjoy their company and that you have a wonderful time with them, but on the other hand, there is some type of impasse. There's some type of friction or maybe a misunderstanding that you and this individual share that you don't quite understand on how to resolve it. Maybe you let bygones be bygones too much. Maybe you let water under the bridge too often, and you find yourself kind of wondering, where is this person going? Because I actually don't actually stand where I have agreed to stand within this relationship. So maybe you've just let things go a few times too many, and now you're wondering if this individual is actually well aligned for what you need in the long term. Now that doesn't mean that you're making a decision already to terminate the relationship, but you may be considering making large changes within the relationship, and maybe you're even questioning whether this person's constitution is well aligned to that of your own. Maybe they need different things than you do at this time, and maybe you're starting to recognize you're not on the same page entirely. Having said that, maybe you're recognizing that this is a part of yourself. Maybe you're recognizing that you've kind of let caution to the wind one time too many, which has led you to some things that have not culminated in the way that you had hoped, and you feel the resolve in order to move forward on things that you wish to do, the things that you wish to achieve. Here is the next card. Let's take a look at it now. Your next card here is the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords depicts a circumstance of suffering. It's oftentimes associated with the mind inside. So someone who is considering certain type of experience, a certain type of fear that is happening. This one is actually really graphic. If you take a look at the card closely, you will see that the sword is actually piercing straight through the chest of the young man. Now, this could be swords from outside of ourselves, such as getting stabbed in the back, or they could be internal fears and worry that are causing destruction around you as you're kind of becoming timid to the outside world. Remember, at the center we have let go and have fun. So it's important for you to remember that at this time, no matter what kind of circumstances are protruding you, or in some way distracting you from the general pace of life, life wants you to be happy. Life wants you to celebrate. Life wants you to live holistically. I would really focus on the central card over and over again within this reading. Just so you know, I also read for Pisces already, and they had a bunch of difficult cards right up front. This is mild compared to what Pisces had. Pisces had the Tower and Death cards twice and the Ten of Swords right up front. But then once the reading developed, it got much more smooth. Okay, so here is, and the outcome was the Nine of Discs for Pisces, so it was not so bad at all. So let's keep looking. So here is the next card for Aquarius, and here we have the Moon. Now, maybe on the heels of the experiences that you are having, there's a lot of questions in the air about what happened, how circumstances involved. The channeled message that I'm getting very clearly from this reading is that the feelings and emotions that you are having about the situation are indicative of true reflections of what happened. However, there is a lot of confusion about what actually transpired. So you have a little piece of a puzzle and you're trying to draw a whole picture, and that's very hard to do with such a small percentage of what you've been given. In fact, I think that for you, it's important to focus on positive things rather than trying to figure out this mystery. And I do feel like the mystery is going to be solved at a certain point down the line. I do feel like there's been inherently a betrayal. And I do feel like as though that the people that you've aligned with in some way have betrayed you, or have in a certain way not lived up to their promises, not lived up to the things that they had wished for you or hoped for you. And in fact, I think that this is the part of the reading that is quite sad in your reading, Aquarius, because I do feel like maybe the Prince of Cups or somebody else had duplicitous intentions, or possibly were not able to live up to the promises that they had made. And in fact, they had weakened your constitution so much so that all you have to do is let go at this time and enjoy the rest of your life, and just accept things as they were. One thing that stands out in the cards is that here we have the snake, a symbol of life here on a staff. And then we have the second snake now, and the snake is pierced by a sword. So maybe through conversation or through ideas, something was in some way kind of nullified. At the same time, this also to me signals that if there was a circumstance that involved treachery or betrayal, that snake, that person that had caused the ill dignity, was taken care of just by karma or by flow of events. The last card from the Cosmic Tarot that we have is the Two of Pentacles. Now, so this is really about picking up the pieces after the storm. This is really moving forward with what you've been given, celebrating, and then moving along. So I don't think that you can actually quite reprimand the situation or improve upon this situation or move past it at this point. I think your best bet is just to celebrate, let go of it, have fun, allow things to fall, let the chips fall where they may. In fact, I think the chips are falling for others instead of yourself. I think you're peripheral to this storyline, and in fact, for you, things are quite upbeat and happy at times throughout the whole month. I do think that there's a big question mark in your life. There's what's going on, how are things happening? Things are not clear. People are getting upset maybe about their own lives. And I think that for you, there's this kind of constant sense of mystery this month. And I don't know if I feel as though it's quite unsettling, but the only thing that you are left to do is to keep your head down and move forward in a direction that makes sense to you. And I don't think that you will have too much of a difficult time making progress. So now we're going to take a look at these 4 cards. This is the Romantic Tarot. And here is your first card. So the first card here is the Devil. So again, the Devil comes up. Aquarius, I'm really sorry I handpicked these cards. You saw it at the beginning of the video there. The Devil represents the sign of Capricorn, possibly, or maybe too much celebration, too much enjoyment, not enough restraint, not enough, not enough careful approach to things. Maybe this can be speaking about this individual who has in some way disturbed the flow of your life and has caused this kind of issue. But maybe it's the Devil itself that is causing your restriction of vision about which direction to take. It looks as though February will be a bit of a frustrating month for you, and I know that's really hard to see as it's your birthday, but I do think that it's maybe for the best, as it kind of unpacks certain things that need to be unpacked so you can move forward. So you have to have this experience of betrayal or someone not living up to expectations. It's almost like, helping someone with their groceries for a year, a neighbor or something, and then one day walking into the building or from your car or whatnot, and that neighbor and really struggling with something, and that neighbor not helping. So don't expect this betrayal to be necessarily like a pandemic horrible demise. In fact, we don't have any big cards on the table. These are all the 9 of Swords, but there's no like giant cards signaling a total destruction. And in fact, in the center and up here, you have a little bit of celebration. So if you are, it's a little bit of being butthurt. It's a bit of a feeling about having store feelings about a circumstance or a matter. If you have strong feelings for someone, then they may be in a certain way. They may be in a certain way ill defined. Maybe you're not seeing something, or maybe you're seeking the wrong thing, or maybe that you are kind of creating a static environment in a situation that doesn't deserve that kind of attention. So maybe you're just being robust and having fun, and then it takes over you, and then it becomes a little pathological, and then you come to realize that maybe there's more to it than that, and you move along. Here is your next card. So here we see the 7 of Discs. This is saying about mid-month, you're going to really focus on making some sane and sound decisions about where to apply your financial growth and make some plans towards the future. I do think that there's a fair bit of resources available to you this month, especially with that stellium in Pisces. That's going to continue well into March, I believe. And so, not well into March, but to a certain degree into March. And I think that you should be reaping the benefits of financial gain, especially if you are investing it in the future. I think that for you, it's really important to think about where you can take your money and how you can save it and apply it for the future. Here is your next card. So here we have the 5 of Cups. Wow, Aquarius, it's not going easy on you this month, but these are low to mid-level, kind of challenge cards. 5 of Cups, disappointment, not seeing the beauty in the circumstance that you have been exposed to, not feeling as though that the situations and the experiences that you've been having in a relationship with someone are actually reaching to a certain level of agreeableness for yourself. In fact, that's motivating you to move forward in a new direction and moving on in the world or with circumstances. Being really careful in the direction that you are taking. This is really letting things go. And again, this is a reinstatement of the central theme and message for the month, that it's important for you to really buckle down, work within the things that you need to work on, particularly financial things. Really apply yourself in a careful manner, and then emotionally let go in a situation that is really unbecoming of you. I feel as though there's bad feelings, fear, and also deception in this circumstance or situation. And I think you feel it very prominently. This is someone who could be outside of it as well. So if this is not the person who's directly involved, this is someone who is watching on the sidelines, who is very concerned about your well-being. And this individual will try to help, although you have to make the first step. I do feel like this person will come around later on in order to, in some way, lend an assistance. However, they may be coming with some types of alternative motivations, and you just want to make sure that you understand who you're dealing with before you embed them with trust. Here is the next card. We see the Ace of Cups, and just like the Pisces reading, your reading ends up with a really positive finality, a real positive payoff. It seems as though that the month is frustrating, and now these cards make a lot more sense. They're actually saying that throughout this whole month, you are going to have the frustrations that we've described. But we're seeing here a robust burst of energy in new relationships and love. And so, although the first eclipse happens in the 7th house on the 10th, I do feel like love after that point will start really abundantly flowing into your life. And so this is why it's important for you, no matter how difficult the challenge that you are dealing, how confusing or unfortunate the circumstances in which you are involved, new relationships and new hopes are coming into your life, and it's important for you to set the mindset of receptivity towards the Ace of Cups. Now, aces are really neutral cards. However, it does matter where they are in the reading. And here, the ace is crowning the reading. So it's saying, yes, this is the next page. It's being reinforced by the center card. I would really advise you to be optimistic and hopeful, because it looks as though this month you are getting a real good chance at new love, new relationships coming through, new bonds being established, and especially ones of a long-term nature. Now, Saturn's been in your 11th house and will be until the end of the year. The 11th house has to do with friendships and associations, and through friends and associations, love comes through as well. And I do suspect that if you are forming any types of long-term relationships, romantic relationships, I would expect, if I was in your situation, I'm an Aquarian moon, so it does resonate for me as well, that relationships would only come from a friendship dynamic rather than something spontaneous or love at first sight. Now, the last 4 cards are a little bit more risque. I hope you guys don't mind. I do see them used on YouTube a lot. So here is your first card. So the first card is the Chariot, which is really hopeful, especially because the cards around it are somewhat challenging or starting off. Now, the Chariot is ruled by Cancer, so look for Cancer people in your life. This is a card of celebration, or, celebration, having joy, having some type of merriment, overcoming, feeling as though you've persevered through circumstances and situations. And so maybe there is a kind of finality of some kind of celebratory finality, some type of opportunity to feel as though you've completed something at this time and you've overcome a stage in your life. Now let's take a look here. Now this is where these 2 corners are where we have the most amount of trouble. We have the High Priestess here. Okay, so I would really, really be cautious when consulting oracles this month. And by oracles, I mean all types of people who talk about fortunes, etc. So we do have love here, and we have possessions, and I believe possessions was somewhat turned upside down. So with the High Priestess, I really do think that there could be an element of confusion that is happening around your life. That these elements, the Devil and the 8 of Swords, are creating a significant amount of confusion, and I do feel as though maybe the Prince of Cups has an ulterior agenda, has someone behind the scenes, is being informed by someone else, is being guided, but that person is not clearly seeing. So psychics and tarot card readers, astrologers and oracles, they too have limits, as they are human, and so sometimes we have to face our own fallacy. However, sometimes you kind of can see that certain oracles don't actually do that because they feel that they must produce or bring something to the table. And I do feel like that's the situation here, that there's more to the story than meets the eye, but the oracle is so intent on being the oracle or bringing forward a clear message. They're people pleasers, and so in trying to do that, they are in a certain way maybe distorting the vision, because there's a lot of confusion around a circumstance or event, and so it might take actually half the month, if not 3/4 of the month, for that confusion to really be clarified. But the advice is clear: don't dwell in the confusion, embrace life and have fun. Here is your next card. So here we have the Magician. Now for these cards, we're picking all trumps. So we have the Chariot, the High Priestess, and the Magician. So there's someone, I feel, who has an agenda around you, who has a very specific goal. This person may be using magic in order to affect your life. Now, if you don't know any people who practice energy work, who do any Wicca, who practice magic, or if you feel there's no one of that nature, look for people who have a very strong tendency to give the evil eye. And by evil eye, I mean people who set intentions towards others in a specific sense. People who may be jealous, people who may harbor negative feelings. The moon is also not only about deception, but also not telling the full truth. And I do feel as though there's someone, the Magician, someone who's actually quite powerful and empowered at this time, who may be in a certain way trying to shield themselves by affecting you with a certain degree of struggle, of pain, of unsuredness. And I think that this is the toxicity that you need to see your way through. So the cards are saying over and over again, you're doing good, Aquarius, you're doing fine. You need to stick to your guns. You need to work through the relationships that you are having. Yes, there's confusion. And I feel like with this situation, it would be unfortunate if you had suffered a loss due to the ambitions of someone else. However, I do feel like for you, this is something that is an imposition that you can move through, that is somewhat external to you, that you can get through and move past. And you will. At the end of the month, by the end of the month, you will be making strides. And remember that if someone is unethically taking something from you, then the benefits that you get from life after it are usually really much better than that which was taken away. And so, and I think if you believe in that principle, that if someone is really targeting you in a negative sense, Aquarius, then if you, once you move past it, the Ace of Cups is extremely abundant and prosperous. So I do feel like that Ace of Cups is very prosperous. Before I saw the other cards, I was like, yes, this is just like Pisces, abundance, prosperity, with a little bit of toil, a little bit of hard work, but the cards are encouraging you to celebrate, have fun, and be happy with what you have and who you are. So here is your next card, and here we have the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so when we have two aces in a reading, it usually means changing places, but because we have so many decks, take that with a grain of salt. Changing places, work and home. But we have an Ace of Discs and an Ace of Cups, and a 2 in the middle. So I do feel as though you're almost setting off on a trip towards the right person. Now, suddenly this has become a relationship reading. I feel as though maybe the Prince of Cups is a love interest, but for whatever reason, it's not sitting perfectly well with you. I do feel as though there's maybe some other information that he is being fed that is of a nature distorted or confused or malaligned, and you can't really do anything about that, unfortunately. But what you can do is let this go for now. This will solidify. This person has to get their thoughts and perspectives together. I think that they're really struggling. If you have some experiences with the devil and the Eight of Swords, this person is really much more embedded within that circumstance or situation. For you, I think you're setting off on a journey, and because this is a 2 is closely associated with twin flames, soulmates, and then we have two aces. So it's almost like a person who's carrying two things. You're carrying discs and you're carrying love, the cups. So I feel as though this is really culminating in a beautiful celebratory send-off, which is the Chariot, about taking you in a new direction to do with love. And I think this situation, in retrospect, at the end of the month, will only remind you that you don't need this, that you don't want this, that this is a bad circumstance that will only cause you, discomfort, unhappiness, etc. And this only helps your conviction that the next chapter in your book, or in the next chapter in your life, is a very positive one. And if we take this as moving forward, we have the Ace of Discs, the 2 of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, the Three of Cups, and the Chariot, which is the ultimate love card. So I do feel like you're going on a journey, Aquarius. You're setting off and you're moving forward, and you're quite enlightened by that process. Why don't we pick a couple tokens here for the month? Let's clarify where that journey is going. Also, let's clarify this unfortunate circumstance. And let's find out more about the Prince of Cups also. Okay. So first, let's see this unfortunate situation. So this looks like the sun is rising for you. This is maybe the rise of someone else in power. Maybe this is someone who's rising in work, maybe taking on some of your responsibilities. There's a little bit of elbowing through that process. But allow this to happen, because as their sun rises, wherever you're leaving, you're setting off on a new direction towards something that would be very prosperous for you, much more so than what you have already. So here is the Prince of Cups, and so we have the 777. Now to me, 777 is a wonderful blessing, angelic, divine protection and love. So if there is a wish that is within your heart, you can kind of channel right now, close your eyes, take a minute, write down a wish or something that you wish to see happen. This is blessings of the angels coming through, so allow this energy to sort itself out. I'm sure you'll be able to revisit it, unless this is the person that is causing this disharmony. So it does seem as though that there's a double circumstance going on. There's this confused situation with a person or a situation, and then there's someone who actually is feeling competitive and motivated against you, and so in which case you just need to let go and have fun, because that person's not going to bother you unless you sit here with the sword in your back, and unless you fester. You have your own things going on, you're moving in a positive new direction. This person's not going to be a part of life moving forward, so let them create their own karmic bubble. Here is your next message. And so we have spring. So if you're wondering about, I like when the time cards come up, or time tokens. This tells us that it will take until, well, March or maybe April. Spring officially starts on the 21st of March. But maybe if you're in the southern hemisphere, then maybe September. That depends on how you want to take it, but I do feel it's right around the corner. I think this feels like a crocus breaking through the snow, and I think that you won't feel as though it's a long time. If it's right next month, or if it's in 6 months' time, it's going to become a really natural process for you. Anyway, Aquarius, I hope that you enjoyed this spread. These were sitting on my table for a while. I didn't look at even one. And so I hope that you take these advice as good ones. I do feel as though if you're not in a love relationship, then you are really on your way to a very abundant, prosperous love. If you are in a love relationship, I would really advise you to let the people involved figure out their own things. If someone is causing you grief, just let that person and everything they have to do with you go. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk with you guys soon. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Make sure to do the contest that I talk about next. Take care. Bye. Hey everyone, and thanks for watching the video. I just thought that I would add at the end of the video what decks I used and any announcements. I think that will work well for people. So the decks I used are the Romantic Tarot, okay, and then the Tarot of Sexual Magic. We've seen that on my sex show. It's a really popular deck around YouTube too. The Cosmic Tarot, totally in love with this deck, so beautiful. And the Mystical Wisdom card deck. So if you want any of those, then please check it out. I also used my Witch's dice and also the tokens. Now, if you guys are interested, I can do a contest for Valentine's Day, And so if you guys would like, then I can give you guys a little kit sent to your home to promote love, and I'll make the kit myself, and it'll have a whole bunch of goodies, probably a twin crystal. I know a lot of people were really wanting a twin crystal, maybe a spirit doll, make a spirit doll for love, so whatever kind of mix. I can ship anywhere in North America for free. If you live outside of North America and want to participate, then you can simply pay for the difference in the difference of the cost of the shipping. So I'll be happy to do that. So all you need to do is watch for your sun, moon, and rising, like and subscribe to my channel, and leave comment on each of those videos telling me that this is your sun, moon, or rising. And if you want to leave an extra comment, that's fine as well, like that, your feedback or whatnot. Anyway, so I guess that's the contest. We'll draw on the 14th for a winner. Wish you guys luck in up to the 14th. Lots of love, and thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you soon. Take care. Bye bye.